Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to today's webinar on the fixed network transformation portfolio and the product updates. So we have some very interesting topics to share with you today, starting with some, quick telecom landscape and overview, and followed by, service providers market demand for these transformation solutions and what are the business cases, right, or the use case for fixed network transformation in your network. We also have some interesting details about our new virtualization portfolio of call controllers, and we will share some details on the lesser known feature with our application server standalone type of deployment for SIP trunking. We call it session-based routing or SIP trunking solution, and of course we'll wrap this up with some detailed product updates details. So let me start it off with the current telecom landscape. Fundamentally, we all know that the telecom landscape is changing, right? So in fact, the connected devices or endpoint markets are growing rapidly. It's not just the device markets or the end users which is growing, but invariably the pressure it puts on your network and business model, right? So we definitely have more devices, more subscribers, and more real-time communication apps, applications in the service provider's network at any given point of time, whether it is, or irrespective of whether it is a fixed or a mobile services, right, that you're providing. So obviously with the growing number of users, the evolving networks, the devices, there is a constant pressure for operators such as yourself to innovate and offer new next generation services, to highlight a few advantages, of course, to reduce the customer churn and of course bringing in additional revenue per user, right? So we all understand our network is, your network is very complex, considering we have so many different services that are being offered, whether it is, fixed TDM calls, VoIP services, UC services, all the way to mobile services, such as 2G, 3G, or all the way to VoLTE services. There are millions of such or billions of such subscribers, right, who are still subscribed to these services in your network. Currently. Obviously, with the current 5G initiative, there is a case for operators more than ever to relook into their network transformation business or the business model and become flexible in offering at the same time enabling new services, right, for the future. So what are the services that as a fixed network operator you are offering to your customers? You can be a fixed wireline operator or MSO cable operator. Pretty much you offer these combination of services, right, that you see in these boxes to one or more of these market segments that you see on the right. So for example, if you take a MSO or cable operator, the market segments that you sell is predominantly residential, and in some geographies, of course, we have noticed small businesses as one of the target market segments for MSOs or cable operators. Now, saying that, over the years, the cable business, the MSO business model has proven itself to be quite dynamic, right? So services such as residential, triple play, which once dominated the revenue opportunities, but now the same operators are focused, obviously it's ongoing process on aggressively reducing the operational cost of, delivering those similar services, right? And of course, turning the attention to enable new revenue generating opportunities, right, with other value-added services, with their own type of over-the-top applications or IoT type of services rolled out to their subscriber base. So now if you look at the fixed wireline operator, and to an extent the wireline operators, to a large extent, they're also mobile operators in most of the cases, and they look at not only reducing the OPEX, right, or the operational cost, but also to deliver, value-added like over-the-top application services or Internet of Things type of services to their non-mobile subscriber base too, or eventually in a hybrid kind of scenario wherein your network, wherein you interwork these, services irrespective of the endpoints the users are using or connecting from, right? So it doesn't matter whether the customer is a SMB or a large enterprise or a residential consumer. Operators must be able to deliver the next generation services above limitations of their communication architecture, right? Which is in order to sustain your customers and also to keep up with the technology shift. So the dilemma this creates for operators, or service providers is nothing less. Of course, we highlighting kind of summarizing into three main points. One is rapidly, leveraging the new business opportunities within your network, of course, and the ability to provide those, these type of solutions that can possibly, obviously, influence your customers, right, to change their business model too, just like you. So, and the third is that quickly adapt to dynamically changing services, right, or technology requirement by your subscribers. We will talk more through this in the next couple of slides. Uh, the past few years, have been challenging for telecom operators, right? So most operators are investing heavily in your wireless networks. The OpEx has increased, maintaining the legacy network, and all this, even as subscriber growth is slowing down, right? So it's not about adding more subscribers or taking subscriber from another similar operator. It is about retaining the subscribers, what we have in your network. So just to say, we are seeing increasingly subscribers using the third-party or the top apps in growing geographies to either make calls, or chat with their friends and end user group, right? So, and similarly with the TV services, we have seen subscribers are abandoning their regular subscription and going towards paid over-the-top monthly services for the channels, right? So let us take a closer look at the today's demand, of operators for digital reinvention and how we can further exploit these opportunities, right, from these demand. To start with, controlling costs and consolidating your resources intensive, legacy services and infrastructure, and of course transforming with next generation technologies, right? So what we mean is the demand for next generation services only going to keep growing. This in turn will rapidly drive up the cost as you invest in new networking technology, right, while continuing to maintain your old legacy and network and its services, right? So as an operator, we should take effort to simplify the products or services lineup, digitizing and modernizing the networks, and of course the operations, and to a certain extent, of course, consolidate to gain scale and the capabilities, right? Whether it is the network perspective, network consolidation perspective, or there's consolidation happening in terms of mergers and acquisition too, right, with large operators. Of course, which in return, drives the demand for offering new services and increases the revenue opportunities and helps you compete better with the increasing demand from the over-the-top type of operator, which of course, reduces your customer churns, whether to the over-the-top operators in the market or your competitors, right? So when we talk about multiplicity of demand, we have scenarios in the operator's network with security or threat from the network angle, or in general end users with obviously with multiple endpoints and mobile or IP devices connected to the network. There is a definite end-to-end threat in terms of security aspects, right? So providing a secured experience to your subscribers gives us an edge over the direct over-the-top player, right? Also, to a large extent, OTT players, except a few, are not able to tap into the enterprise or business consumers. So providing a secured communication experience, does gives us an edge over the over-the-top type of players or third-party over-the-top type of players. And then we talk about the technology shift, right? The modernization. Now we all know the highest priority for an operator is adapting cloud native or virtualized software only deployments, and obviously the eventual path towards 5G, right? And in lots of cases we have seen hybrid kind of deployments and which exist in the network. So with last but not the least, the regulatory challenges, from addressing the robocall challenges and all the way to the fiber to the home, the operators have to keep up with the regulations, right, and licensing that are there in every country. And also they have to deploy the appropriate solution that will support these regulations in the respective geographies, right? So what's next for the operator? What can a fixed network operator do to alleviate these, these squeeze or on margins and create more value? For the starters, obviously modernizing your infrastructure to keep up with the technology experience and asks of your subscribers. Second is to provide a secure and seamless experience for your users, and of course, the new infrastructure you deploy, and the vendor you work with should help you deliver these new services now, and also to help you enable new services with an open architecture, right, that you can possibly adapt into. Uh, so with Ribbon, we have an extensive list of fixed network transformation portfolio that not only helps you to consolidate the legacy class 5 and 4 switches and peripherals, but also to modernize your network, right, to help you offer services like voice over IP, SIP trunking, and similar services to your customers. So we offer local class 5 transformation solutions with our C20, C15 Softswitch with gateways, and we have SBCs for security, and as well as ability to offer the when you're offering VoIP or voice over broadband services securely to your customers, right, with the help of SBCs in your network. And similarly, we have a tandem transit class 4 switch transformation solution with C20 or C3 and gateways for TDM and IP interconnect kind of applications. We have solutions that we can work with you for consolidating large end offices to all the way to providing a voice over broadband or hosted UC services directly via wired or wireless access infrastructure right in your network. Our class 5 and 4 transformation solution both supports trunk migration from TDM to IP or IMS network, enabling operators to deliver features both to business and residential customers, right? And of course, the ability for you to for the SIP and the legacy voice services to coexist. That's one of the major value add for fixed network transformation operators. For today, we understand most of you here are our customers of our soft switches and gateways, and we have some interesting topics and updates that we have lined up to showcase to you. So please stay tuned and feel free to ask us any question while we talk through this, right? So what's the case for transformation? Why should you as an operator look into or consider modernizing a network for all the more your wireline network, right? Before we get into that, I would like to update with something interesting. There are two surveys that GSMA conducted with their voice subscribers recently. One is showing more than 70% of the customers choosing voice quality or voice as the loyalty factor. And another survey is also showing that the improved voice quality is greatly appreciated by most of the subscribers, right? Of course, we can say that this is for mobile networks, and but I believe without any regards to whether it's mobile or fixed, majority of their subscribers chose voice quality as a loyalty factor, right, to stick to their operators. So more so ever, this still applies to fixed network, right, as most of the revenue in fixed line is coming from businesses or enterprises and regulatory bodies for voice services, right? So transforming these networks and offering the voice services with better quality is one of your top priority. Now, as an operator that puts pressure in your network, again, or as an organization overall, to give an improved user experience to your subscriber and to retain your customers, right? So let's assume we all agree that improved user experience is one of the use case. We then look for how effectively can I implement a suitable solution, right, in my network, and what kind of capital expenditure or operational expenditure savings can I bring forward, right, to the table for now and future when my network and technology upgrades, right? So there are lots of use cases that will be considered when you start things like flexible deployments, whether you want to deploy a COTS hardware, whether you want to deploy on a public or private cloud or an NFV environment or an appliance-based or in a hybrid scenario. And then we also consider things like whether can I reuse my existing legacy investments in the current network, right? Can it interwork? Finally, the TCO and ROI will be based on the increased revenue with any solutions that we pick. What kind of increased additional revenue per user I can gain by delivering these new services, right? Or now that I'm delivering these services with reduced network requirements, do I have the leverage to reuse the freed resources, right? Whether it's real estate savings or power savings, and possibly apply these types of savings on introducing new products or services to these subscribers, faster to market. So invariably, we decide on choosing a new solution or upgrading the existing solutions. Right? We have all these use cases or key cases that we end up considering. So when we think through this, whether it's cost reduction, improving user experience, or increasing revenue, All of these challenges builds us a case for virtualization, right? We all understand that virtualizing your network doesn't happen overnight. So to a large extent, we need to work in these hybrid environment of both appliance and virtualized instances, right? So as an operator, you start looking whether the virtual or software-based infrastructure, will it provide the same or better capacity and performance, right, than the appliance-based infrastructure. The ability to rapidly launch new service to your subscribers, of course, and the reducing cost into working with your current appliance-based investment, reusing them, and of course, the last but not the least, preserving your customer experience, right, and service quality in software environment. Now, for an operator, virtualization means a few things. One is it can just be a software-based instance deployed in the network. Another is more with regards to NFV type of infrastructure deployments. Now, vendors like Ribbon, we offer multiple deployment options to you, whether it is for the service provider core or edge kind of applications, invariably. So all of these network technologies and deployment options, allows you as an operator, in your networks to lower cost and make it faster and easier to change networks or upgrade your network or migrate your network in response to problems or new customer needs, right? So with regards to that, I have here Bill Thompson from product management here in Ribbon, and he will be highlighting and introducing our virtualized Softswitch C20 for classified type of deployments. Bill, do you want to take this away?
Sure. Thanks, Prasanna. If you want to, there you go. So our C20 virtualization strategy is going to deliver a product in mid-2020, and I'll get into the specifics around that in a little while. A couple of the main points. Obviously, one of the key benefits of virtualization is flexible scaling, whether you have a small switch, some of our providers do, or a large switch up to 1 million lines. And those are the things that we looked at when we were putting together our virtualization strategy, turning up specific instances as needed to grow the capacity. And so along with the flexible scaling, there's several other benefits. One is the ability to use COTS hardware. We will offer hardware for those customers that want to roll it all into a Ribbon solution, but we will publish our specifications and allow you to buy your own hardware if needed, if you desire. And if you already are going down the path of virtualization in other areas, say you have a server farm and you want to use the physical resources you've already purchased or plan to purchase, that will be an option for you. We are also in the process of virtualizing not only the signaling application, but our application server as well. So these will be taking these external devices that currently require additional hardware and rolling them into our virtualized solution so that additional hardware is not needed for those applications. Another key benefit is that you will be able to take your old switching equipment, your legacy gear, such as a DMS or a CS2K, or even down the road if a C20 is something that you want to migrate to a virtual environment, we will do that as well, or any other switch vendor. So these kind of services will be made available from the same people that are with us today that have the experience, have done, say, the DMS to CS2K collapse or C20 collapse. So they're very similar processes, similar services, but obviously with the new technology, there will be some new things that will need to be developed and new processes to be developed, but it will be the same team that you've come to know that Ribbon has made available over the last several years. And the last one I've got listed here is simplified commissioning. Obviously, this is a software-only solution, virtualizing the application, so the time from say purchase to implementing a solution in the field is going to be much shorter than it would be today on a hardware-based solution where we have many elements that have to be installed and commissioned separately and then together as a whole solution. All right, next slide, please, Prasanna. I've listed here some of the capacity numbers for our virtualized C20 solution. So this is based on our initial engineering review that we've done based on the architecture that we're going to put in place. So at the high end for, say, an end office application for class 5, we'd be looking at supporting up to 500,000 lines per instance. These are numbers that we would hope to grow in future releases, but this will be for our first release that'll be available in 2020. And then below that, under the endpoint capacity, will be the Class 4 trunking only solution, where we will support up to 300,000 trunks, of which 200K can be ISAP. You see to the table to the right there of the sliding scale between lines and trunks. All this work is going to be enabled by a program that we're actually in the process of delivering now, which is our call agent on Intel. So those of you who are familiar with the old DMS product and the CS2K C20, you'll know that our call agent runs on a Protel code based on PowerPC, and so there's a major project ongoing to enable us to deliver our call agent on an Intel platform. And that program is well underway, and many internal milestones have already been met. And this is part of the solution that will be productized when we get to release 21 in 2020. You'll see some limits on gateway controller and the session server trunks, the media server there. I won't get into all those details. I will say on the bottom box there, the virtualized SP2K, that the SP2000 is our signaling gateway for the C20 today. And it supports IP, SIGTRAN for signaling. But we do realize there are still TDM links out in the network. So if you need to terminate TDM links for your SS7 network, you would need an external product, an external box to terminate those, and actually Ribbon offers that solution if you want to choose that. Or you can terminate your links on another gateway that supports it and backhaul into the Virtualized C20 via M3 UA. All right, Prasanna, next slide, please. So this is our path towards virtualization. As you know, starting back in 2010, we delivered the C20 on the ATCA platform, and that's a product that we still sell today and foresee selling for the next several years. But then last year in 2017, we made available the C20 MARMS. The MARMS stands for Multi-Application Rack Mount Server. And this was really our first internal step towards virtualizing the C20. We took applications such as the gateway controller, the media server, GenView manager, and we virtualized these onto the MARMS for the C20, where we support up to 56 cores. And so that's the first step, as I mentioned, in virtualization, but we actually productize this for those market niches that require something maybe smaller than a C20 ATCA, where that product may be overkill, but larger than maybe a small rural switch. So C20 MARMS is in the field today, and as we take that and evolve it to a full virtualized solution, which you see on the far right of the slide here, in 2020, we'll take the rest of the applications, like I mentioned, the application server and the signaling server SP2000. We'll deliver them on a guest OS, and then the service provider would be providing the host OS. Again, we will publish the specifications so that everybody can build their infrastructure to meet the requirements to run our application on top of that. All right, with that, Prasanna, I believe we're going to turn it over to Mr. Jarzemski.
I guess.
Actually, sorry, back to you first, and then.
No worries. So thank you, Bill. So now that we know, or that what we are planning with C20 Softswitch and virtualization, I would like to take some time here and talk about the SIP trunking solution that I was introducing earlier. So as we spoke a little while ago, majority of our service provider customers here, as part of the network modernization and services that are being offered, one was voice over IP or voice over broadband, and another revenue generating service for them is still SIP trunking, right? That is predominantly to your enterprise and SMB customers, wherein you're enabling IP communication and UC services to your enterprise customers, right, using existing legacy PBXs or IP PBXs. So with Ribbon, we are currently providing multiple scenarios for service providers to sell SIP trunking as a service to your customers. We have cloud-based SIP trunking as a service. For example, if you like to offer SIP trunking outside your service area, or there are limitations within your network to expand your network infrastructures, to sell more sub-trunking as a service solutions or services. With our cloud-hosted Candy solutions, we can extend and offer sub-trunking services or similar UC services directly to your customers, or extend it and sell it to your customers. And of course, the on-prem premise solutions, since most of you here might already be having our Softswitch infrastructure, you can further offer sub-trunking access solutions wherein you put an SBC, and you can offer a secure sub-trunking solutions, with our C20 AS and SBC, not just in your network, right, but also to extend it further in managed services of offering kind of scenario. You can put an enterprise SBC and enterprise network. And with Ribbon, we have further strengthened our portfolio to offer enterprise edge-based SBC solutions, which can further support cloud-based public PBX applications like or applications like Teams, Skype for Business, etc. Right. So for today, for our discussion, we will be talking from the fixed network service providers sub-trunking infrastructure angle. So there are many ways to offer, right? Like I was communicating to you earlier with the sub-trunking services. Here for on-prem, as you see here, either directly by the SBC, with the AS and with the C20 AS. So the SBC solution without AS does provide for a simplified sub-trunking solution. However, for the large customers, the AS and C20 AS provides the richness of those unified communication services, right, that you can offer to your customers. With AS or the application server in these deployments, we have this new feature called session-based routing for sub-trunking. This is for AS standalone deployments. In technical terms, it can provide for routing scheme based on RFC 4904. That is TGRP based routing. So what it really means is this capability allows the total simplification of the SBCs in your network, allowing it to do its protection role without having to manage provisioning on the SBC and the application server, right? So the AS can route, can control profile, can admission, provision, all with this TGRP concept without putting the load on the SBC or on your SBC. So there are two value adds of using TGRP in this AS standalone session-based sub-trunking solution. One is it allows multiple static sub-PBXs to share the same source of IP. So this capability enables multiple static sub-PBXs in your enterprise customers network to share the same SBC private side IP, which is eventually lowering the number of IP addresses, right, that is required to deploy a static standalone sub-PBXs in your customer network. And the second value add is it allows the enterprise system administrator to manage static sub-PBXs and the provisioned users or the extension users without having to request changes from the service provider's access side SBC or the application server system manager, right? So it simplifies the provisioning of PBXs and its users extensively, and this creates flexibility, right, reducing the time and the overhead that is required to complete administrative tasks on the PBXs while using the sub-trunking as a service. So please note that the C20 AS also supports TGRP kind of deployment. However, it maps these to the defined translation schemes on the C20, which of course is overlaying that with the richness of the PBX features, right? So if you'd like to talk more about this, application server session routing feature for sub-trunking, please feel free to let us know your interest, and we'll be happy to share more details on this feature. So we all know in today's network, security is of prime importance, right, to all the operators and also end users. So most of you here, while you are providing fixed line services, you might also be providing mobile services, especially those legacy mobile services, right, which are still millions or billions of users, right, using your SS7 signaling network. So in the signaling network, we are talking about things like hackers who are increasingly taking advantage of the SS7 vulnerabilities, and of course the diameter protocols too. they listen to calls, and if you're a mobile operator, the hackers can read messages and can even locate individual users based on the locations, right? So why should the operator care about this more than ever? So a lot of us think we should only be focused on the evolution to LTE diameter-based networks, and we focus our solutions, even security, analytics solutions towards those, right? However, the legacy SS7 protocol-based network still serves the vast majority of your subscriber base, right? So to start it off, obtaining subscriber information, that's the information gained by the attackers, can be sold for revenue without the subscribers, and the operators realizing that their subscribers' identity, has been compromised. And further, uh, uh, hacking into the SS7 network could leave the operators in a financial loss, right? And not to mention the reputation lost among their customer. So once the door is open, it allows the intruders to listen to or record a subscriber conversation on incoming or outgoing calls, right? So what are the ROIs of doing nothing for you as an operator? Financial loss, not only to you as an operator, but the subscriber. In addition to all this, there are customer retention impact, there's denial of service penalties, there is reputation, loss of revenue, etc., right? So prior to being Ribbon, Genband and Sonos had a long partnership, and were productizing and reselling SS7 signaling, or STPs, as SP2000, along with our C20 on ATCA or the MARMS. So this is actually natively the same solution as what we are deploying with our standalone STPs today. It's the same software load, it's just repackaged differently within the C20 on the ATCA platform. And of course, it uses the actual cards that are installed in the DSC 8000 of former Sonos and currently the new Ribbon DSC 8000, right, which is our standalone STP and signaling solution. The SP2000 will also go down the virtualization path in the future releases. To start with virtualization, the SP2000 will be onboarded with our C20 offering in our MARMS platform, and as the C20 moves to virtualization, the signaling will also evolve together with it. So to all of our fixed network transformation customers, with existing C20s and SP2000, please look into our further updates on the virtualization deployment options, right, for the same. With that, I would like to, invite Dave Jarzemski, who is our product manager for the gateways, and he will be happy to update you all with some of the new releases that are being planned with the G6 media gateways. Dave?
All right, thank you, Prasanna. Let's turn the page, please. So let me begin with a quick introduction as to why you have gateways in your network. Bill and Prasanna explained methods for transforming the core of your network to an IP core with the C20, signaling servers, and so forth. There would also be session border controls in that. But that IP core is eventually going to have to touch TDM interfaces. And that's where gateways come into play. I'm going to give you a review of the gateways that are in the Ribbon portfolio that provide this function. The G5 is the G5 line access gateway is the method of providing copper-based subscriber access. So if you want to do a clean sweep and replace all of your network, including the copper access to subscribers, the G5 is a great way of doing that. It will replace any type of CO-based line equipment, whether it be Ribbon equipment or some other vendor. G5 is a very dense solution. It's a cost-effective solution, and it also offers extended loop lengths. So just about any type of line technology that you've got in place today, you can drop a G5 in there and it will be compatible with that copper. Another unique advantage of the G5 is it supports basic rate access, ISDN, as well as pphone. And pphone is, for those of you who are DMS customers, you're familiar with pphone. It's a business set from the DMS world, and there's millions of those lines still deployed out there. The G5 has a pphone and a BRI line card. The G5 SIP ESA isn't really a gateway. It's part of the gateway portfolio. It's actually a remote proxy server for SIP access. So in the event that you would be deploying SIP endpoints and you're serving them from a call server at a distant location, you might like to protect those. The G5 is a server-based proxy that can take over call control in the event communication to your distant call server is lost. The G6 is the universal solution for network transformation. And when I say universal, it does lines, trunks, PRI, and any sort of copper-based solution. It serves DS1, OC3, DS3, and STS1, and transforms it to H248 signaling up to the C20 core. It's what we call our packet line gateway solution. The G9 is specialized for interconnect. In a larger network, you may want to consolidate all your interconnect and trunking at a centralized location, and the G9 is a very efficient way to do that. G9 also offers transcoding support. So it is for large networks and consolidation of all the trunking and interconnect at one place. Next page, please. So let me explain how we do a network transformation. On the left side of this chart would be a DMS wire center. So this is a DMS 100. Those of you who are familiar with the architecture would understand this readily. You've got your actual line equipment, your copper-based line equipment in the form of LCMs. There's a mid-level of the DMS architecture that is collectively known as XPM, and that consists of the LGC, the LTC, the ESMA. This is a concentration function in the DMS architecture. And then there's the core, which is the network and the core processing element itself. So that's the network as it would exist today in a legacy DMS office. The way we transform that with a G6 is the DMS core is decommissioned and the G6 is put in its place. And the G6 terminates all of those copper interfaces and it converts them to H248 up to a C20. Typically the C20 is deployed on a regional basis, and there would be a G6 dropped into every wire center. And in the process, you decommission that old DMS core equipment, but you can retain all of the line equipment that's in use. All the line equipment and the peripherals would remain in place. They do not need to be rewired. None of the MDF wiring is affected. Cross connects are untouched. And this is a unique advantage that Ribbon can provide in evolving these DMS networks towards an IP network. Is we own the proprietary technology for those DMS-based line equipment, and we're the only vendor who can transform it with and leave that line equipment in place. So if you turn the page, please. Now I want to explain an evolution of that model. So on the left is a representation of what I just explained to you. What you see in purple, it's laid up in stacks so that it highlights the point. The purple area is the XPM layer of the architecture, and that is retained in the G6 solution with, we call it the ABI solution. That's our current one. We've been deploying it for years. And that is retained in this solution. We're offering an improved model on the right side of the page, which allows you to decommission that XPM layer. So the DS1 based remotes and line equipment would now terminate directly into the G6 rather than going through an LGC or an LTC or an ESMA. And for the LCMs, the host-based LCMs, they would terminate directly into the G6 through the form of this G6EX. G6EX stands for G6 Extender. It is a simple protocol converter. This is a 30-channel copper interface on the LCM side, and a 512 DS512 is an optical interface going up to the G6. So the G6 takes these in, does that mid-level processing that's required in order to be compatible with the C20, and converts it to H.248 signaling. So the advantage of the DLP solution, which, by the way, DLP is our acronym for DMS line peripherals. It's a method for terminating DMS line peripherals directly on the G6. So we have the same advantages that we have with our current solution, which is there's no need to touch the main distribution frame and the cross connects, but we have the added advantage of decommissioning the XPM layer. This provides significant power and space savings as well as reliability savings. So this G6 DLP solution, it's in our Ribbon lab right now, and we're going through our product test. We will be moving into customer labs at the end of first quarter next year, and moving towards a general availability in the third quarter of next year. So Prasanna, back to you.
Bill, do you want to continue with this?
Yeah, thanks, Prasanna. So this slide is also along the theme of network transformation, migration. So some of you may have obsolete hardware. It's been MD'd for years. Maybe you're on a retired load. CVM 16 and 17 are retired, and we also know, as Dave mentioned, there's those extra layers of hardware maybe in your switch, and so you have OpEx that you're concerned about. So with the C20 and the C20 rack mount server, we've got the professional services team in place to help you upgrade your old equipment and take it into a modern voice over IP network, or in a case maybe in a couple of years take it to a virtualized environment. What we're doing in R21, release 21, which will be in 2020, we're looking at a full procedure for upgrading a CS2K to a C20 MARMS, and this will be more cost effective than doing slower migrations where you might spend a lot of money on upgrading old hardware to replacing gating hardware on the CS2K, when that would be something that you wouldn't even need when you get to a rack mount server solution or a virtualized solution. So we would look at upgrading from R19 or R20 to R21, and actually we're looking at trying to advance that to upgrade procedure from R21 and delivering that sometime next year, but we're still in the early stages of investigating that. So these are something, this is something you can start looking at now, start putting plans together and working with your account manager, and they could work into our product team if necessary to put together a specialized plan for you. I do want to point out that the MG15K and also the MG9K, which I'll talk about on the next slide, those are legacy gateways that are no longer supported beginning in R20, so R19 is the last load those will be supported. So Dave mentioned the G9s for the MG15Ks, that would be a good replacement, and if you're looking at some old MG9Ks, certainly the G5 would be something you would want to look at as a replacement there as well. If you would, Prasanna, go to the next slide. So I've mentioned a couple of these already. What we want to look at is making sure your switches are on active loads. R18 and R19 are active now. R20 will become GA in February of 2019. One thing that some of our customers have started to do is replace their old signaling equipment, the old USPs or LPPs. We have a solution where you can migrate to an SP2000, obviously our most current signaling gateway that we support on C20 and CS2Ks. In the middle box there, we talk about some of the Langley 3310s, so this old hardware that's been around for a number of years. And if you have an application server on 3310, you'll have to replace that before you go to R19. That's available on an IA-RMS or a MARMS. And likewise for SIP trunking, the SST, that'll be gating as of R19 will be the last load that'll be supported. You'll have to replace it going to R20. Also, I skipped over the GenView Manager in the middle there. That's something that you'll have to replace when you go to R19 as well. The Blade Center T is no longer going to be available, and I mentioned the MG15K and MG9K on the previous slide are the legacy gateways that are no longer supported beginning in R20. Prasanna mentioned the relationship we had with Sonus, and before that Performance Technologies. So our signaling portfolio is now in our combined company of Ribbon is part of our portfolio. We have a number of people that come from backgrounds in the signaling area and have worked in this industry and know what's out there. Our Tekelec Eagles, Alcatel-Lucents are older platforms from other vendors that are end of life or end of support, and we continue to see more of the legacy equipment being either end of life or taken out of their network. We can replace those with DSC 8000, the current platform for STP and diameter that we offer, as well as the DSC SWE, which is a software-only based version that can run on COTS hardware as well. Those are for your STP applications. Now, for the SP2000, which is the signaling gateway for C20, as I mentioned in the previous slide, you can replace your old LPPs and USPs with this SP2000. That comes in the form of a server if you're putting it on a CS2K, or a blade in the C20 Genius that's integrated into that the Genius shelf. Lastly, the last thing I'll cover before turning it back over to Prasanna, just kind of a summary slide of the different platforms we own, or we support, sorry, from a call server perspective. We have the C20, which again is available on ATCA and rack mount server. This is for large applications for both class 4 and class 5. We support IMS applications, we support local and tandem, and it's really the go-to platform, if you will, for large deployments in either the end office or the tandem markets. The C3 has a little smaller capacity but fits very well in our class 4 market. This is a legacy GenBand product, and it's still available. It's sold all over the world, and you can see the capacity numbers there as well. And then the C15 is the class 4, class 5 switch for our rural market, mainly served in the IOC space in North America, and we maintain that in our portfolio as well. Continue to sell those every year and come out with new software releases once per year for that switch. And with that, Prasanna, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Bill. Just to wrap this up, as before we have some polling questions, and also what's next to follow up on this. Just to wrap this up, as part of our modernization solutions, right, with Ribbon Professional Services, we do provide complete life cycle of services to help our customers, whether to plan, design the network, or and manage the Ribbon networks and solutions, right, or the products and solutions that we provide to you or work with you for. So we provide a combination of experience. That is, we have over 3,000 offices collapsed. We have more than or close to 800 legacy switches transformed. So we can help service providers, whether it's large and small. You saw different types of solutions that we can cater to, and of course deploy and migrate to secure, more next generation IP-based services enabling, and of course software-based communication solutions, right, whether appliance or software or as a cloud native solution or in multiple hybrid kind of deployment scenarios. So with every customer, every project, our goal is to become your trusted partner. Obviously, we are mutually accountable and invested in your success as much as we are working with you towards that goal. So, Lance, if you don't mind, while I'm talking through this, can you run a polling questions? So what's next is obviously, talk to us if you have anything that you need to if you have questions on Virtualized C20 or you want to know more about it, let us know. And of course, you have taken note of all the upgrading, gating, end-of-life hardware or software that is there that you might want to talk more about it. Or if you want to know more about the AS session-based trunking or the new G6 DLP gateway update, for follow-up discussion, please contact our Ribbon Accounts team, or you can reach out to show your interest in one of those tabs that Lance is going to pop up in the next few seconds.
Prasanna, this is Lance. The survey will pop up once the webinar ends.
I got you.
We do have some questions that have come in from the audience, if you want to take a few of those before we close out. The first question we had was, can the G6 ABI solution and the G6 DLP solution be mixed in the same chassis?
So I'll take that, Lance. This is Dave Jarzemski. So first of all, sorry for the acronyms, but ABI, that's the Access Bridging Interface, and that is the interface to the existing XPM layers of the DMS architecture. The DLP solution is the new solution that we're introducing. And the answer is yes, they can be freely mixed. If you have a G6 in your network today and you're deploying the ABI solution, and in the future you would like to expand with the new DLP solution, it's entirely compatible. You can mix and match those interfaces in the same chassis.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Another question that came in, we have some CS2000, CS2Ks in our network and would like to consider migrating those towards the C20 EMA RMS or Virtualized C20 in the next couple of years. How do they go about this in terms of RTUs and licensing? Is it a migration scenario or just an upgrade scenario?
Lance, this is Bill. I'll take that one. I address this at the end of the presentation at a high level, and certainly we can work with the particular customer for their scenario. But first of all, the RTUs, the licenses will transfer as long as they're the same line type. In other words, a SIP line on CS2K, we can transfer that to be a SIP line on a C20 or C20 virtualized solution. H248 would become H248. Same thing. We could transfer those licenses. There'll be a slight engineering fee just for record keeping and making sure all the records are complete, so we know what you have on your switch. But the process is going to become an upgrade, and that's what we're having to do some work for on the C20 end, to be able to make it more of an upgrade, so it's not a migration where you're painstakingly going through a bunch of hardware removals and taking a long time and becoming more costly, both on the service provider end and also the services cost that they would see from Ribbon would be more extensive. So we hope to have this sometime in late 2019 or early 2021 as a formal process. So by the time you get in touch with us and do your planning and start to think about what you need to buy and replace as you get ready for this upgrade, that procedure would be available. So please contact us for details for your specific situation.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, this one kind of maybe folds into that a little bit. Will the C20 EMA RMS with the virtualized SP2000 support TDM connections?
Yes, I'll take that one as well. So today the SP2K on the C20 EMA RMS is an external server, and it has TDM interface cards to allow for termination of those TDM links. When we virtualize the SP2K, all the need for that box goes away, in the sense that all the processor, the application itself will reside on the C20 EMA RMS. But we are coming out with a version of the rack mount server that will include TDM cards in it to allow for termination of TDM links, since we know those are still very prevalent out in the network today.
Okay, very good. And we have one more here about migration. So can you gradually migrate or adopt into the IMS network, like with current Ribbon solutions in our network, is what the person asked?
Yes, so we offer on the C20 and the C20 MARMS AGCF and MGCF capabilities, and those can be coexistent with a class 4 type application, class 5 application where you're running a local network and you still want to have an AGCF or MGCF co-resident on the same switch that you have today. It's those are software only applications. If you need more capacity that requires hardware, that could be the case, but there's no external device that needs to be purchased to support those other than for capacity increases. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think so. That's all we had for the questions. Prasanna, do you have anything to add before I wrap things up?
No, once again, thank you for spending some time on this and listening to us, and feel free to reach to us if you have any questions from today's webinar. We are all available offline, and of course you have your accounts team to reach out to talk or know more about these products and solution updates.
All right. Thanks, Prasanna. Yeah, thank you everyone for attending today. Thank you to Bill and David as well for presenting for us today. As Prasanna did mention, when we close, you'll have a quick survey that pops up, so we'd love to hear from you there. We'll be sending out an email later today with a replay of the webinar, so please look for that. And as Prasanna did mention too, on our website, the collateral that you have here in the tool, you can find all of that on our website. You can contact us there as well. So please just reach out if you come up with a question that you didn't get answered today. We'd love to be able to answer that for you. Again, thanks for your time. I hope you all have a good rest of the year, and we will be talking to you all shortly. Thanks and have a great day.